So I'm the owner of a small plumbing company. We've got 11 employees, and we do about $2 million in revenue a year. So I recently had to fire a new employee because he missed 4 days in 4 weeks. My question is, do you
Why did he miss?
Any room for? He had different reasons every time, but he was sick. His daughter was sick. Daughter had to get a tooth pulled, and daughter was sick again. And
Single
he doesn't
dad?
have a wife in the picture.
Do what?
He doesn't have a wife in the picture there.
Okay.
So my question is, do you leave any room for grace in situations like that when you have a new hire that misses work that often right after they're hired?
Yes and no. We have to assess what's going on. And so if this guy's a single dad, he's got a little girl that's been sick, that's one thing. The second thing is that there's a pattern. Taking care of your kid, we'll never fire you for taking care of your kid, okay? We just don't do that. And so there's a lot of grace for that. But if there's a pattern that says, quote, under the heading of taking care of your kid, that you're not working at all, then this isn't going to work because we need you here. And so if this, if you ascertain by looking at the leader, looking at his attitude about it, and just kind of assessing the situation, and you say, well, based on that, it looks like this is going to be the way of life as long as this guy works here, then yeah, I would have let him go. Because you can't, if it's just going to be the rest of the time he works here, he's going to miss a day a week, no, that's not going to work for me. So he's going to have to get a different kind of a job because of his childcare situation, and because this job requires you to be here because we can't do plumbing remote, right? And so, yeah, I would have done that. So anytime we have a team member come to us and say a personal situation is a strain, and are just informing us and letting us know that something's coming, then the first thing I teach entree leaders to do is to assess the scope and the size of the problem. In other words, how much impact is it going to have on them? Okay. A weird example of that is I remember many years ago, and I wrote about this. I had a lady walk in my office and tears in her eyes, and her lips started quivering as she started talking, and tear ran down her cheek. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "My baby's sick." I went, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." And I said, "So what is it?" She said, "The daycare called and they're running a fever. And this is their first week in daycare, and this is my first baby." And I went, "Oh, yeah, okay. This is a little separation anxiety here. Mom's not, this is hard to put the kid in daycare, very hard to do that, especially your first baby, and you're taking this little baby over there. And then the first time they call, you're going to run right over there." And so when I'm looking at all that, I kind of smile as the old guy and go, this too shall pass. You're going to get through this, and you're going to get used to this. And by the time you've got 3 or 4 kids, they call from the daycare. You go, "Yeah, we'll be there in an hour or two. We'll get around to it. Be there by the time closing time." But you don't drop everything and run over there like the house is on fire. And so I assessed the situation. I decided it's a small thing, so no big deal, right? Go take care of it. The second one, about 2 days later, another lady walks in my office, same thing, tears in her eyes, lips starts quivering when I said, "What's wrong?" And tear ran down her cheek, and she said, "My baby's sick." And I said, "Oh my gosh." And I'm thinking about the other one, kind of rolling my eyes, but I didn't. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Got cancer." Oh, whole different thing, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And so I said, I called my HR director in. I called her leader in. She was in accounting at the time. And I said, "Her baby's got cancer. As a team, as a family, we're all getting ready to fight leukemia and beat it. Ready, set, go." And those people didn't mow their grass all that summer. Our team did. Those people didn't cook a meal all that summer. Our team did. And she didn't work because you can't do accounting while your kid's got chemo. Your brain doesn't work when you're doing that. So she got the whole summer off with pay, because that's what I would want somebody to do for my kid if my grandkid had leukemia, right? And so we treat people like we want to be treated. But that's a lady that had been with us at that time for 4 or 5 years, had not missed a day. This was an extreme situation. And so, and she still works here, by the way, been here 20 years. And if you say something bad about Dave Ramsey, she'll kill you. So, because we were loyal to her and she's loyal to us. And so, assess the size of the problem, and then you can determine whether your company is of size and you can afford the absence and afford to extend the grace or not. You got 10 people. If one of them's not there, you have a 10% drop in production, minimum.
Right.
Maybe a 40% drop or a 30% drop, depending on how many people you got in the field. You don't really have the margin to extend extreme grace. And a day a week, that's pretty extreme. So I would have fired the guy too in your situation, not because I'm a big old meanie, but because his needs in his life right now do not connect with with the needs we have as a company to be able to have him on staff. And so you were not heartless, I hope, but I would not consider you heartless for having done that act. I would have probably done the exact same thing. But what I'm saying about all that whole long, drawn-out story is that assess the size of the need and then say, can our situation, how much of this can we accept, and is their request reasonable? Or do they have a weird thing going on? And so, like we had a lady that worked here for about 90 days, and then she was having anxiety, and her request was to work from home for the rest of her career. Well, we work at work, so that doesn't work out. So you're going to have to solve your anxiety some other way. And that's not heartless. That's more like your situation, Brandon, where we assess the size and scope of the need, and how does it compare or connect with our needs here and with our ability to extend grace. And we didn't have the ability to extend that kind of grace because it changes the whole culture of our organization. If we start, anybody who's having a bad day with anxiety goes home. That doesn't work because we all have anxiety all day long. It's part of what we do. So,
right.
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. And so, but yeah, is that making any sense at all?
Yes, absolutely. If you do decide to extend grace, how do you communicate that with the rest of your team that is seeing that absence?
If it's something that's not shaming, we tell them. So-and-so's kid's got cancer. We're all praying, and they're not going to be here for 90 days because we're going to chemo, and we're paying them, and they're on our team, and we love them. And you should be glad we do stuff like that because it could be you next. And the team does. The team. They like that. But if they think that we're just being weak leaders or something, or too cowardly to confront misbehavior, then that's sanctioned incompetence, and that's bad. You don't want the team feeling that. And if they don't know what's going on, they could think it's sanctioned incompetence. So, as you know, if you say so-and-so's kid's sick, if I've got a team member who's mad because they're not at work because their kid's sick, that team member's in trouble. We want good human beings working here, and childhood illness is something anybody's ever had a kid. It takes your breath away. So even if you hadn't had a kid, so all that. So yeah, I communicate it. But if it's something shaming, if they're having to go in for, I don't know, I've got 2 people right now that have maybe vague psychological things going on. I'll just leave it at that, and are doing some on-sites. They're not in the office, and they're in a getting help on site somewhere. That's about as much as I want to say. So, and that's exactly what I would say to the team too, because the team listens to this. So, but anyway, but I mean, why would I'm not going to shame someone that's trying to get help in that. That's not valuable. We just said so-and-so's working on some stuff. They're not here. And everybody just goes, okay, we trust the team because when they when we trust leadership because they tell us what's going on, unless it's something that is harmful to the person, and then it's the only time they don't. And so, just lots and lots and lots of grace on that as well. So, Brandon, I'm proud of you. You're asking the right kind of questions. Your why working for a small business is the best place to work in America, because you actually care. You know how much analysis or heartache corporate America would have over that situation? Zero! -2.